Welcome today in Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone, and I am cold and it is dark and it is a little drizzly out today. Some of our pretend summer is unfortunately gone, but lots of amazing things happening across the city, and I'm excited to bring them to you today. First up, we're going to talk with Frank DiMauro. Welcome, Frank.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. Frank, we see you a lot because you do a ton of stuff across the community, and we're really grateful to that. Today, you're going to wear your Festival on the Common hat.
Festival in the Common. This is the 30th year, so it's
Is
exciting.
it really the 30th year? That is kind of a nice round number. In my house, we would call that a happy number.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. I know it happens on the first Saturday after Thanksgiving every year. So this year, that's the 30th, if I'm correct.
Yes, 30th.
Excellent. And I know some of our traditional favorites will be happening. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that we've come to know and love that will be around this year.
Well, we'll have the ice sculptures and the live demonstration of that. And starting at 3, we'll have it all starts at 3. The singing, caroling on the steps, and we have some new bands, new people this year, so it's always nice to have new ones. We have some of the costume characters from Frozen and Belle will be singing as well. And we have the mayor as well doing his Night Before Christmas book.
For a
So
second there, Frank, I thought you said we're going to say that the mayor was going to be singing, and I was really going
no,
to be
no.
blown
Well,
away.
he will be singing with the lions. So he does sing with the lions. So he'll be singing right there. We're going to have some couple new things. Number one, the hayride will be replaced with a trackless train ride by Northeast Kingdom. So that is pretty interesting. And we'll also have the Salem trolley, so that way we can have handicapped accessibility for that. With the hayride singers, we'll be on each one of those as well.
That's really fun. That's one of
Yeah,
my favorite things is kind of hanging around town and listening to the Christmas carols and having some fun with our neighbors and friends.
yeah. We'll also have 3D video booth, and it will be sponsored by Dave and Buster's. And David Buster's will have a little booth as well, activities there. And that next to that booth, that will be where the petting zoo was. So then we also will have the art exhibition for the Woburn Guild of Artists, and it'll be a nice day. We have the different vendors. The scouts will be there. The Kiwanis will be there. We have a couple of new ones will be there. Skewers might be there. So different ones that'll be around for food. So then the Leos and the Cubs will be selling popcorn, and the Lions will be selling the hot dogs and hamburgers, and we'll have cotton candy. So a little bit of everything for everybody.
I love it. Come ready to eat and sing and share cheer. That's going to be fun. I
Yeah.
know one of the other traditions has always been decorated trees on the common that come from various schools. Will that be happening this year as well?
Yes, we will have the Christmas tree contest. The theme is holiday movies. So any movie that they want to pick.
Oh,
So
that's going to be kind of fun. I can't wait to see what they
yeah.
chose.
They've done a great job the last few years. They've been hard to pick a winner, that's for sure.
That's really cool. I'm excited about that. I guess I didn't realize it was a competition. I learned something new already. I'm excited even
Um,
more.
There's prize money to be had, so the competition is tight.
Yeah, that's serious business there. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So for those who maybe there are newer to Woburn and this is the first time they've been here, is it 3 to 7-ish? Is that what
Three to
what
seven is
happened?
the timeline. The the rides on the train are free. The walking around is free. The art exhibition is free. I mean, the food vendors. What the purpose of the vending of the food is? Just the groups in town. The charity groups are selling food to raise money. So the Boy Scouts are raising money. The Girl Scouts are selling stuff to raise money. St. Charles. The Lions, Kiwanis. Everybody's trying to chip in, and that's the money we give back to run the event, to tell you the truth. So we're trying to keep it going.
I love it. Well, it's fantastic. I imagine there's a few tips people have learned over the years to making the most of this outdoor fun. Anything you want to encourage people to remember?
Well, you dress appropriately and then just hang out and have fun. Enjoy it. And then it's
Yeah.
also going to be on TV, so, your group and cable, so then you can always watch it afterwards too.
It's always a lot of fun to see all the local talent, the kids, the adults who participate in the singing. There's lots of festive fare and going into the art exhibit's a great time if you want to go in and warm up a little bit inside. That's a nice way
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, we do have over 60 people entered into that. So 60 pieces of art. So that's pretty good.
That's fantastic. That's a nice exhibit.
Yeah. It's in the basement of the brick church, which is the Baptist church. So you got to go around to the back entrance, but it's worth the trip.
It's definitely worth the trip. And I'm very excited this year because last year, this time, I was still in treatment, so I wasn't peopling very much.
Mm.
So I'm going to make up for it this year and dress in my layers and bundles. So when you can take something off if it's warmed up and be nice and cozy if it gets a little chilly out.
Well, I'm shooting for 45 degrees. That would be nice. But
And
cool
for
down.
those who wouldn't that be nice? 45 is pretty
Yeah.
good in the evening. I would take
Yeah.
that. We're hardy people. We go out in the Halloween parade no matter what the weather is. We show up on the festival in the common no matter what the weather is.
Yeah. That would be great. Well,
For
it'll be a
those who
fun
do
one.
need to park in the area, any guidelines? The immediate area around the common is closed.
You got to do what you can. There's all kinds of side streets. There's down by the library. It's all
Yeah.
different, above. That's
Yeah.
the hard part.
Yeah, if you with a little planning and a little bit of willing
Yeah.
to walk up and warm yourself over, it's not too far. The stuff behind Library Field there's a lot of parking there. And then as you mentioned, there's a couple of lots in Woburn Center that are public parking and lots of side streets and things that people can take advantage of. And it's a multi-hour event, so people come and go a little bit as well. So that's always nice for mixing it up.
Yeah. Yeah. With all the different singers, you can hang out, enjoy.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us, Franks, and thank you for all the work that's gone into the festival on the Common. I know it's a Herculean effort. Sounds like there's some really fun new things for people to try, and so
Definitely
I'm
not the
I'm
same
really looking forward
one.
to that.
Yeah, it's definitely new. We'll
We
see
like
how it
new.
goes. All
Oh,
right.
it's
Thank you
gonna
very
go
much.
great. It's gonna go great. Everybody's gonna come and feel festive and fun and full of good spirits and patience and cheer and enjoy all these free activities.
All right. We'll see you then. Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Frank.
Bye bye.
Next up, Deacon Peter, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm excited because we're talking about holiday cheer and we're just going to keep the momentum going and can't talk about holiday cheer without music. And you've got a really incredible choral event coming up. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity. Really appreciate being on live and having conversation with our community about this celebration, which we're calling the Community Advent Celebration. This is an event that will be held at St. John's Baptist at 38 Everett Street on December 14th. And what we're doing really is bringing the community together to make music. So whether you sing, whether you don't, whether this is your first time, we're welcoming one and all. Please join us. And we have a Berkeley trained musician who will be leading us and helping, basically put this beautiful mosaic of people just singing and having a great time, to reflect the season.
I think that sounds really fun. As a person who is very, very not musically gifted, whatever the opposite of musically gifted is, that is me. I have no musical talent, but I love listening and I'm very good at cheering people on. It sounds like it's the perfect event for people of all different kinds of skills.
It really is. It really is. And sometimes, I used to be one of those people who thought, I'm just a good listener. Let me sit back until my wife prodded me and told me, come on, let's get on stage. And I discovered something new. So, hey, Samantha, don't be surprised if you're up there in the choir with us. So, there'll be a seat for you. But we'll see. How's that?
You might be
We'll leave it
surprised
open.
if I'm up there in the choir with you, but I admire all of it, and I love that there's. Tell us a little bit about the music that the group will be singing together.
So it's basically going to be, Christmas music. If you think about Christmas carols like, Hey Silent Night, Joy to the World. So our choir director will be basically working with the choir to basically pick those songs and work on those songs. So as part of that, we actually have a choir, what we're calling choir practice dates. And that's November 23rd. The next one is November 23rd. And then the last one is December 7th from 11:30 to 1. So 11:30 a.m. to 1 in the afternoon. And basically the big day is again December 14th. So, the choir director will work with the choir and work with us, and finally we'll come up with a final selection of, list of songs and say, hey, this is what we're doing on December 14th for those 2 hours.
That sounds lovely and like a really special evening. For those folks who want to attend on the 14th, do they sign up anywhere, or if they want to come and join the practices, how can they get involved?
So for the practices, basically, just show up on those dates. Our address is 38 Everett Street in Woburn. So just show up at 11:30, and you'll find basically a choir director there working with basically ready to work with the choir. And this is the community choir. That's what we're calling it. We're a community choir. So you don't have to sign up anywhere. Please just show up. And then when it comes to December 14th, again, please just show up. And what's going to happen, something interesting that's also happening is we'll take up an offering during service, and that will go to Social Capital Inc., who work within our Woburn community, basically to support different efforts. So anything that basically we collect as part of that, offering is going right back to the community to support the effort.
Well, that's not fantastic. I love that. What a lovely way to wrap everything together. Remind us what time on the 14th the choral event will be.
Yes, the event will be at 5 p.m. and running to 7 p.m. On that day. It's going to be a Saturday. So it's going to be, on that day, everything, all roads lead to Woburn. So it's going to be a very exciting night.
I love it. It sounds really incredible. What a beautiful evening. There's something about community singing that is unlike everything else. I mean, there's lots of beautiful ways to listen to music. This is particularly touching, I think, because it brings so many different people together to have fun, and it's almost contagious when you hear a choir playing together. Everybody wants to kind of jump in and enjoy it.
And Samantha, will be honest, I'm just hoping, in the deepest part of my soul that this is the one, this one of many that basically, where our community comes together and we do something similar. Especially in this season when we hear many reasons why we shouldn't be together. So we're saying, hey, let's do something different. Let's come together. Let's come together because, Woburn is just a special place, and it's a place of love, a place of caring. So many beautiful things happen in Woburn, and let's come together and celebrate that.
Well, thank you for giving us another way to do that. We're so glad you came join me today. I hope lots of people get the opportunity to get their toes tapping and their voices singing and bringing it together.
Well, I'll use this opportunity, Samantha, to send a direct invitation to a chief of police, fire chief, all the chiefs in the city and their families. We're inviting them, please join us. Our mayor, we're inviting all of them to please be among the number.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Hi, welcome. Mayor Concannon is joining me now. I'm really glad that he's here. For those of you who are eagle eyes and might be paying attention, I did have a wardrobe change. We do some scheduling around some meetings. We did tape the segment at a slightly different time. Probably no one but would notice, except I pointed out, but there'd be one or two people. So we wanted to let them know.
Yep. Happy to join you, Samantha, and thanks for the flexibility in your schedule.
Yeah, I'm glad we can do this as always. We had the pleasure of celebrating veterans a lot over the last couple of weeks, and there's some recent legislation that has been talked a little bit about across the state and here in Woburn at some of our events called the HERO Act, and that does allow for some good tax exemptions for people who qualify. And we want to make sure people who do qualify know how to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and we appreciate the state legislature and the governor passing the HERO Act changes that benefit veterans in the Commonwealth. And to your point, there's a couple of additional benefits regarding excise tax exemptions for veterans. We have some information up on the website, but I would encourage veterans in Woburn to look into this. They can reach out to Bob Davis, our veteran service officer up at the senior center. Bob is always available to help. And also, John Conley and his team in the assessor's office are well versed on how all of these things come together, and they can steer people in the right direction on how to best take advantage of these hard-earned benefits. So we're very happy to see that that extension of benefits from the legislature.
Speaking of heroes, we would be remiss if we didn't recognize three incredible firefighters who were honored just this week by Governor Healy and the administration, and a really awesome ceremony. And we want to give them a shout out.
Yeah, there were firefighters from across the state honored out in Worcester yesterday, and we're proud to say that three of our own received a citation for meritorious conduct for their efforts in a fire here in Woburn last spring. Lieutenant Bob Garrity, firefighter Sean Courtney, and firefighter Doug Massey did a great job. It was down the south end of Woburn. Very, very scary and dangerous situation involving a couple of young kids. And they just did a great job getting there quickly, assessing the situation, responding in the very best way to make sure that the kids, were saved from the fire. And we're just so proud of the efforts of these firefighters, and we're glad to see the state acknowledge those efforts. Doug, in particular, he's actually currently deployed serving our country, but we want to make sure that his family is aware of how proud the city of Woburn is of Doug, Sean, and Bob. And again, that's an example of the amazing things that our firefighters do every day here in the city of Woburn, which is why we're working so hard here in the city with the city council and the fire command staff to make sure that they have what they need in terms of resources to do the very hard work that they do the best they can. So we appreciate their hard work, and we want the world to know how awesome they are. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it was wonderful to see the pictures and recap the stories of their acts. We're very fortunate to have the kind of team we do here in the city.
Yeah, and just a couple of weeks ago, we had another incident involving an infant and another crew from our fire department. Again, everything came together just right. Everyone was doing their part professionally and expertly, and it led to an infant being saved. And we're so proud of that crew as well. And again, there's dozens of stories. It seems like once a week they're going above and beyond. And it's important that the residents of Woburn understand the professionals that we have out there and the hard work and the commitment to saving lives and ensuring public safety. So we're proud of all of them. And it's good to see they get the recognition they deserve.
I agree. I had a really unique experience growing up that I lived in West Africa, and where I lived at the time really didn't have like a 911 system, and didn't, there was technically firefighters, but they had poor equipment, and by the time they would get someplace, it was not always the most helpful. And I had a bedroom catch on fire when I was growing up. I was not in the bedroom at the time, but we had a fire, and through the heroic act of some neighbors behind us that jumped in and helped save the day. But that was many years ago that I was living there. But I remember not having someone to call in to help. And so for me, just knowing how great our team is here, it's a healthy reminder how special that is, and it's easy to take for granted. But I try to remind myself.
I'd put Woburn Fire up against anybody.
Yeah, they're incredible. We also have, we're talking about first responders. The police have been doing incredible work as well. And there's a couple of kind of high profile cases that involved Woburn, a shooting at Jake and Joe's, and some human smuggling operation. Those cases are a little bit old at this point, but that's how long it takes sometimes to get through the whole judicial process, not just an arrest, but to go through the full case. And those cases came to end, and we know how much work goes into that from an investigation standpoint, and making sure that we're supplying what the legal teams need to make convictions. And as a former law enforcement officer yourself, I know you know probably more than most of us kind of what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot of teamwork involved in these two cases, very serious and complicated and sad stories. An example of federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies and DA's office and U.S. Attorney's office working closely together to ensure that justice is done. And, that's what happened in these two cases. We have resolution, we have at least some closure for the victims involved. And it is important to note all the hard work that went into that. And again, the cooperation and collaboration between very different agencies that all have to come together and work together to make sure that justice is done. Woburn PD, again, I'd put them up against anybody. They enjoy a strong reputation throughout the Commonwealth and even the country for their professionalism, and they're led by Chief Rufo, who does a great job. They represent us very well, and they played a role in each of these very serious, complicated, long-term investigations. And it's important to note that they've been resolved, and they've been resolved justly. So we appreciate the hard work of those involved in Woburn PD as well.
So on a less complex, serious note, but and a note that affects a lot of us, we turned our seasonal parking ban on. This is something we do every season to make sure roads are clear through winter storms and everything. And there's no parking on city streets on the even side of streets from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And we've had a few people actually call in this last week or so when we announced this, saying, "Why is it always the even side of the street?" And I did not have a good answer for them. So I wanted to talk with you about that.
I may or may not have a good answer for him either. I actually asked the chief about it at our weekly meeting this past Monday, and I know why we do a parking ban, and I know why you have to pick a side. It makes sense to limit the number of vehicles getting in the way of emergency, snow clearing operations. All that makes sense to me. But when I asked the question, why is it odd versus even? His answer was that it's been that way for as long as he could remember. And I think they simply had to pick a side, and then they just stayed with that side. And interestingly enough, now we're the they doing it. I suppose we could reconsider it and say, let's make it the odd side on odd years and even side even years. But when I mentioned that to the chief, he thought it might create even further confusion, and it could lead to misunderstandings and mistakes where somebody ends up getting a ticket because they thought we did it the way we always did it. Why are we changing it? So I guess the short answer is we probably just stick with the way we're doing it now, since most people are used to it. And to the concern that it's unfair to one side versus the other, I guess I can see that, but the people on the even side of the street, hopefully there's an opportunity they can park on the odd side and walk across the street. I suppose it's not quite as convenient as they'd like, but hopefully in most instances, it's not a big deal. And trying to change it at this point might lead to too much confusion. So maybe we just keep it the way it is.
It's a good answer, it's an honest answer, and that's all we can help for. So I can understand why people ask the question, how these things happen. So it is good to know. And I do know that I've looked at some other communities, and just in general, I was curious asking folks, and changing does cause some confusion. And so especially if you rotate it on a regular basis, that can confuse folks.
And hopefully, people have a strong enough relationship with their neighbors where parking their car in front of your house isn't such a big deal, and we can all make it work and work together to be fair to everybody. And we only get a few calls about this. I think it's fair to say that most people in the city are used to it and can figure out a way to make it work. So again, another argument against instituting another change that could lead to confusion.
Absolutely. Thanksgiving is not far away. We're coming against the what I always think of as the official holiday season. Although I'm going to admit this, and I know people are going to have thoughts about this, but I did watch my first Netflix Christmas movie last weekend. I admit it. I'm a little shameful, but I'm starting the holidays early. I'm particularly appreciative this year, so we're going for it.
I'm a traditionalist. I kind of like to wait till we get through Thanksgiving to start focusing on Christmas. But I know that, at least in my house, I don't do the bulk of the work to prepare for Christmas. So the person who does the bulk of the work should really have the say in when they do the work. So that's not a fight I would ever pick. To that point, this past Saturday, we took advantage of the nice warm day and put up the outside Christmas lights. The compromise was that we wouldn't turn them on until after Thanksgiving.
I think that sounds like a great compromise.
Yeah, so that's how we handle it in my house. But I know that there are people who they love Christmas so much they can't wait to begin celebrating. And being happy a little bit longer isn't such a bad thing. So I guess I'm okay with that.
It is indeed. I will say I had to hide and watch the Christmas movie in my bedroom because my family would revolt. But I was
Yeah, we
okay doing
haven't we
that.
haven't had that. Yeah, we haven't had any Christmas movies on, but I would bet that the Saturday after Thanksgiving that will start.
I love it. And the Saturday after Thanksgiving is also an awesome tradition here in our community. We did talk with Frank earlier in the show about Festival on the Common. This is the first year as mayor for you. I know you've attended many
Yeah,
times, but
yeah,
you'll have a special new role.
yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I think I've been to every single one of them since we started 30 years ago, um, either just as a resident or for 20 something years as a Lion, where we participated and helped to run it and sang. Believe it or not, I sang. So I'm used to the festival. I love the festival. I think it's a great way to begin that Christmas season. And again, it's right after Thanksgiving, so that's okay. But yeah, this year will be my first year as mayor. And two of the big things that the mayor gets to do is cue the lights, which is great, and also to read the night before Christmas, which is a special tradition in my family. Anyway, we do that on Christmas Eve at our house, at our big family party. And my father-in-law, Jim Foley, was a real big fan of family gatherings. And I think one of the highlights of the year for him was when he led us in reading the night before Christmas for years and years and years. And he would read the first page and then pass it around to all the kids in the family. And each kid would read a page and then would wrap up with Jim reading the last page. So as I read this year at the festival, I'll be thinking of Jim. And so that's a special moment for me. That's something I'm looking forward to.
That does sound very special. We too read the book. We actually read the physical book that my dad read to myself and my sister when we were growing up. It's the same one.
Nice.
Has a little crayon mark on a couple pages. One of
Yeah.
us got to it. I'm not sure my sister and I blame each other. I'm sure my mom knows who it really was. But it is a special treat that we've
Yeah.
enjoyed over time as well. So
And I'm
will be
looking forward
good.
to that. We as you know, we had a couple of organizing meetings for the festival. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes who work really hard to make that happen. And we appreciate it. There's volunteers and service groups, and of course the police and the fire and the DPW step up to help us out. So it really is a nice day. We've had all sorts of weather over the years. It'd be great to have a nice, warm, sunny day, but I think the people show up no matter the weather. So I'm looking forward to a big crowd this year.
Yeah, we know how to bundle up if we need to. We'll get the gloves
Yeah.
and the hats on, but this year you never know. We might be in shorts, at
Yeah.
this rate. So it'll be fun no matter what. We'll make it festive. I love that.
Yeah.
Speaking of festive, there's so many people in our community who have a lot of creativity and talent. There's a little fashion show this weekend coming up at the library.
Yeah, local designer, Luna is her name. She's been in a few times to talk about some of the things she does in the community, and we directed her to the library, the library has sort of become the cultural hub in the center of all things Woburn, and they do a great job over there. So she's going to be working with Hermaine and her team to put on a nice program. I guess I would describe it as festive and beautiful scarves. And I'm getting out of my depth at this point, so I'll stop there. But it sounds like it's going to be very nice. And I have about 5 things happening that day, but that's one of the things I'd like to try to squeeze in and visit. And I'd encourage people to try to stop by the library. It's Saturday from 3 to 4, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, you're correct. And it is a great opportunity. Look, we have a lot of really talented people in here, and it's really nice that the library helps us showcase their work. And wearable art is always fun to get involved with, especially over the festive season where we want to spiff off an old dress or, do something new. It's a great chance to do that.
Yep.
Speaking of the library, just as an aside to let people know, there is next week, there's a cybersecurity expert who's coming in to do some training for City Hall employees. And one of the things that our IT folks have arranged is for him to do an open to the public session talking about digital security and how to protect yourself against scams and things that's happening at the library. So we encourage people to take advantage of that expertise
Yep.
that's going to be there as well.
Yeah, Dave Mastronati, who's our Chief Information Officer, does a great job trying to prep everybody and remind everybody of how to be careful and protect yourselves from the bad guys out there that are always trying to capture our identities and do bad things with it. So we appreciate Dave taking the lead on this.
Yeah, it's a great one. Last thing I want to touch base on is something that I know I'm deeply passionate about. We have a Resources and Volunteer Expo coming up on December 5th. This was really born out of throughout your campaign, we talked about creating a culture of service. And in the last 11 months, we've had a lot of people who've come in and said, hey, I want to be more engaged. I want to volunteer. We've met with lots and lots of different nonprofits and organizations to do incredible work. And this is our chance to recognize some special people and bring together so people have a chance to do some good right there and maybe find out a longer term volunteer opportunity they might want to engage in.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's a kind of a capstone to the last 10 or 11 months that have gone by so quick. But to your point, that was one of the main reasons I ran, and one of the things I thought deserved a little more attention and focus. This culture of service you're talking about. There's so many people in Woburn who have needs, but there's even more people in Woburn who have a service they can offer or an interest in volunteering and helping others. And what I felt was lacking was the glue, the nexus, the connection between the needs and the services. And you're essentially the glue. The position we created and the great job you do is that glue. And this expo is an opportunity to put all of it together and watch it just expand exponentially even more. So all the great things that have been done and all the individual people and families that you've helped in the last 10 months, we want to build on that. And the expo is an opportunity to do just that. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to kick us off into the next year, and who knows where that will lead to.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a lot of fun. I do want to give a shout out. One of the 34, 35 organizations that's going to be joining us that night is Social Capital Inc. They just did leaf raking program for seniors in our community. So for folks who would have a hard time going out there and raking their own leaves, collect a whole bunch of volunteers. So well done. That's the kind of community we are. We step up to help each other out.
Yeah, very tangible, impactful effort where you've got a problem, a yard full of leaves and a senior who can't deal with it. And then you've got a solution, volunteers organized by SCI to tackle the leaves. It's perfect. And it makes a difference. Somebody looks out the window and their yard is cleaner and there aren't leaves all over the walkway to cause them to slip. It's just a great, simple solution that puts the need and the service together and solves the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So we look forward to making lots of connections at the expo. And again, if you're looking for long-term volunteer opportunities, great. We'd love to have you. If you just want to come out and say hi and support folks that are there and do something nice that day, there'll be lots of activities to do it on site as well. And students, of course, can earn yes hours just by coming. So lots of good reasons to come. Woburn, as always, we're so grateful for your support as a community. Please continue to take good care of each other.